Kib, how are you? How are you doing?
Alright, so thank you all for coming to my presentation. You are all clearly very cultured. You signed up to be a good one. So to start off, I'm going to ask you a question. What is your favorite animated movie and why? So you go ahead.
Okay, so it's called A Silent Voice. It was
Mitchell's versus the Machines.
It's
Spider-Verse.
I can't think of anything better, but this is just because I have very strong emotional ties with it. Ratatouille.
Well, then I will show you my favorite animated movie. And it's The Mitchell vs. the Machines. So, clearly one of you seen it, but has anyone else seen it? Yeah. It's my favorite movie. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's so good. So the reason I like it is because I relate to the main character. We're both redheads with glasses who make films and are trying to make it to film school before the world ends. So today, I am going to show you my film that I made. Now this was completely animated, directed, edited by me, and the only thing I didn't do was voice acting, but listen. So, without any further ado, I'm just going to play it.
Finally, food. Hey, those are mine.
Not anymore.
Wait, huh? What is that? What a strange statue. A real dragon, and she's so majestic.
What's wrong? Never seen a real dragon before? Well, it's nice to meet you. My name is Queen Azulada Quetzalcoatlus, but you can call me Azul for short.
I'm, Hazel?
Wow, this place has really gone to waste since the last time I saw it. There's nothing green anywhere, but don't worry, I can fix it.
Ow, it's always been like this.
At the top of that mountain, there's a crystal with the power to restore all the colors to this place, but only someone with the heart of a dragon can touch it. And I'm the only dragon around here, so see you, tiny friend.
Wait! Whoa!
I've never actually flown before.
Well, if you don't try, you've already lost. Get up, I'll go with you.
Okay.
Onwards! We're doing it!
Look, between those rocks.
That crystal is as good as ours.
Not in my watch.
Ah!
Change of plans. You get the crystal, I'll hold them up.
But I'm not a dragon. What if I can't do it?
Hazel, the heart of a dragon is courage. If you've got the strength to try, you've already won.
Okay, let's do this.
Alright, I'll launch you and you get the crystal.
Ah!
Gotcha.
Come on, please, work.
You miscalculated dragon.
No, you miscalculated.
Azul, we did it!
Well, tiny friend, I guess you do have the heart of a dragon. Now there's just one thing left to do.
Finally, food!
I'm going to make you watch the end credits because you should always watch the end credits. Because there's a lot of work that goes into these. That's my family. My 13-year-old sister actually did the voices for the dragon, so I'm proud of her. 6 months to make. I did it all myself, which normally you've got like a team of people to do these, but it was just me on this one. So thankfully, I can tell you everything about it. So I'm going to teach you today how to make a short film. You can make your own if you want to. So, does anyone know who this is? Go ahead.
Don't know the name, but I recognize it.
Figment the Dragon. Yeah.
Yes. Wait, isn't that Epcot's,
Yes, he's at Epcot.
yeah.
So he says, just one spark of inspiration is at the heart of all creation. So what was the spark for this film? I've always wanted to make an animated film ever since I was 10, and I watched them on YouTube. So I'm going to show you a drawing of Ralston. You're allowed to laugh. This was the first ever drawing of Hazel I ever did. But yeah, I wanted to make an animated film for a long time. This is the first Azul. I did this when I was a sophomore. But I never thought I could actually do it until I took this class with a Disney animator. And he taught me everything I needed to know about storytelling because he worked on films like Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, and perhaps most culturally significantly, Shrek. So his name is Robert Lintz, and clearly he's a master if he could make Shrek.
Shrek 2 is the best.
So first thing Robert Lintz asked me to do was create some characters. If you want to tell a story, you need some characters. So I'm gonna ask you some kind of weird questions. If anyone's had this child food, I'm gonna ask you to ascend the ladder of abstraction. So here is a circle. What vibes do you get from this circle? Like, is it mean? Is it nice? Is it friendly looking? Go ahead.
It's very well rounded.
Nice. Angel. What else? Go ahead. Calm, serene, serious. Yes. So I would say a circle is very friendly and harmless. So can anyone think of a cartoon character with a lot of these circles? Ratatouille. Yes, good one. Go ahead.
Like Eva from Molly.
Oh, yes. So I thought of another rat, Big Mouse. He's got these circles, very round and friendly looking. I also thought of Isabel. She looks very approachable and nice. All right, the next one, square. What do you think about squares? Could you crush this square?
No.
Do you think you could push it around if you wanted?
No.
So a square
I think it's a
is
V.
very strong and inflexible. Now there is a famous example. This guy is just literally just a square. And he's very inflexible, doesn't like to change, very angry. And then also Rick Mitchell from Mitchell's versus Machines. You can see he's got a square there. And this whole character arc is accepting change and learning to be flexible, trying to learn how to use technology. And then lastly, triangle. What do we think about triangles? Go ahead.
I don't know. That's sort of like maybe all-knowing, maybe like
Yes. Go ahead.
Maybe more of like instability or like fearful, because I kind of
Yes.
think of like fear from Inside Out as well.
Right, like you could stab yourself in that triangle and got lots of points on it. So you're right. Triangle is very dynamic, unpredictable, and sometimes it's evil. Like with this dragon, lots of sharp points on it, but it doesn't have to be evil. We got Tracer here. She's got lots of sharp points in her hair, but she's not evil because we got all of these round shapes on her. So you can combine shapes to make really cool characters. So can anyone see any shapes in these characters? They're a bit more complex, less obvious. Go ahead.
I see like circles and like Azul's like wing.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
Like sort of like a square face for the dragon, and then that's triangles on it.
Yes.
I think Hazel's tail is giving me like a square vibe.
as well.
Yeah, so I kind of use a mix of all three of these characters. We can see Azul she's friendly, but she's also a bit dynamic and unpredictable. Hazel's very rounded and friendly. Then the tiger, I actually use a lot of round edges because when you use the opposite of what you're going for the character, it actually throws people off and makes them not know what's there. So this was the first Azul, first iteration that I showed Robert once, and he loved it. So I've got my characters. Now I just need a story to put them in. So has anyone ever seen a storyboard for a cartoon? Yes. If you haven't, basically you just draw sketches to plan out what the scene is going to be. And they don't necessarily have to be good sketches, but they do have to be real. So there are two things to remember when you're making a storyboard. Your poses have to be clear, your silhouettes have to be very readable, and your line of action right there has to be very readable. Like, action has to be flowing throughout the whole character so you can tell what's going on. Visual readability is the most important thing. So here are the storyboards for Azul. Now, very unwisely, I decided to save this for the night before the due date. So I had to do about 40 little drawings the night before it was due. So it was around 3 o'clock on a school night, and I finally finished it. But near the end, it was beginning to fall off a little bit because I was probably starting to hallucinate. So Robert liked the rest of the story, but the ending just was not hitting as hard as it needed to be. And if you're gonna watch a cartoon, you need that story, that ending to hit. So I had a problem here. I needed to make the ending good if this film was gonna make it. So I had to fix this problem in the animation. And for the animation, I had to call up my good friend Calculus. Now, I know this is an English classroom. I know this is kind of sacrilegious, but what words do we think of when I say calculus? Math, yes. No, good one. Bad. Yeah, so obviously calculus is scary. But calculus is to animation, like calculus is to physics. You can't have one without the other, actually. So, is anyone in calculus right now and can name what this thing is? Go ahead.
Integral.
Yes, an integral. So with an integral, if you know how fast something's going, its velocity, and you know its starting point, you can find its position. So in animation, I know how fast the thing is going, and I know its starting point. I know it needs to get from A to B in a certain amount of time, which means that drawing a frame in an animation is just like taking an integral. So how many times did I have to do this? I had to take this integral metaphorically over and over and over again. So for every second you saw, there were 12 drawings. There are 60 seconds in a minute. Times 3 minutes, that is well over 2,000 individual drawings. So I was at this for a while. Here are some of the test sketches. Every color you see flashing is an individual frame. And later I would go over and paint these, but those are just the early versions. But I still had the problem of the ending. I still needed that thing to absolutely slap. So has anyone here ever been to Disney World? Nice, good. Has anyone ever been on this ride? Good. How about this one? It's called Flight of Passage. You ride on the back of the dragon. Yeah, it's awesome. This one's a bit newer. Yes. You get to go to Star Wars. It's awesome. So I wanted to include something like these rides in my film. I wanted to make it feel like you were there. You were actually riding on the back of the dragon, because that would make the ending slap. You actually got to fly with the dragon. So my little drawing thing over and over and over again wasn't gonna work. I needed something more powerful. So I had to teach myself 3D animation. But I don't know anything about 3D animation. And when you open up Blender, it looks something like that. There are a lot of numbers and confusing graphs and stuff. So I had to start with what I knew. So what do I know how to do? I can draw. I can draw pretty okay. So I drew all of these pieces of the scene and I put them in Blender. So when you look at it from a certain angle, it looks like it's 2D and you're in the scene. But I still had the problem of getting the dragon in there. So at first, I tried realistically modeling the dragon, putting in every single scale and feather, but that very quickly crashed my computer. So I ended up with a dragon cylinder that looked a little bit like Hootie from the Owl House. And I just decided, all right, I'm gonna work. But I had to get this dragon cylinder to move through this scene, which is easier said than done. I tried giving the thing bones, tried making it move with bones. It didn't work how I wanted it to. I tried applying physics simulations to this thing, still didn't work. Now at this point, it was 3 o'clock again, and I was about ready to throw out the entire film. But I was like, very wisely, I'm gonna come back to this in the morning and make it more simple. So I closed the computer, went on my phone, and looked up how to make a thing move in curve motion on Blender. And thankfully, in 2013, a random Scottish guy on the internet had uploaded the exact tutorial I needed. He was like, "It's okay, lassie, we're gonna get through this. All you have to do is tell your mesh to move on the curve." And I was like, it seriously cannot be that simple. I worked all night to get this thing done, and the solution, it came. So I went to bed, woke up in the morning, plotted my graph, and I got it to do that. Yeah, so we got our basic dragon thing. So I did exactly what the Scottish guy said to do. I made the dragon go on the curve. Simple that, just wrap the curve. So we end up with this crazy looking helmet. But it's doing what I wanted to. And it's moving throughout the scene, just like I needed to. So in the end, we end up with this. So it's still a cylinder looking thing, still looking like Hootie from the Owl House. So I need to rotoscope over it. Now if you have never seen rotoscoping, basically it's when you trace over something to create animation. And I did this one, instead of 12 drawings per second, I did it 24. So every second in this video, you're going to see 24 frames. And then I ended up with this scene. Thank you.
So throughout the film, what would you say was the average frames per second that you were using?
So most of it, except for that scene, was 12 frames per second. There were a couple 3D things that were a bit higher, but it was mostly 12 frames per second. And that's pretty standard for what you'll see in like cartoons. But yeah, all of that worked just to make that 6-second clip. Now, that is great, and that scene was great. It was nice and flashy, but it's kind of meaningless without a story. So I had to go to one of my other favorite films, Star Wars, for some advice. Clearly, what I needed to add to this film was these awesome slide transitions. No, I'm just kidding. I needed to look at archetypes because Star Wars manages to use archetypes very well. Now, if you don't know what an archetype is, have you ever heard of the hero's journey? So this is something that shows up in mythology throughout the world. It's like a subconscious story that we just all consciously know about. So I tried to include this in my film. You've got the call to adventure, the threshold, or the point of no return. We've got a mentor or a helper. We've got a literal event. a literal transformation, and then a literal return with a reward. So with that, my film was done. But this is the scariest part. All of that scary math was nothing compared to putting it out into the world. Because once I do that, it's not my control. So would you guys like to see it one more time? Just before we send it out into the world? All right, then I will show it to you. I will watch the whole credits again. Let's watch it.
Oh my god, look at all those people.
So one of the hardest lessons I've had to learn through this film is that you can try and do everything right but still fail. When I post this on the internet, there could be anything that a 12-year-old could find and decide to, just start a hate campaign. I've had it happen before. I've had 12-year-olds on the internet send me death threats over videos of dancing animals. It's true. So clearly, posting this online is going to be a risk. And, other things can go wrong. I've submitted this to film festivals, but I haven't won every single one, which is really hard, but you still have to try. And you know what? Sometimes it works out. The film and its surrounding media got over 250, hang on, am I reading this number right? 250,000 views on social media. People around the world watched it for a total of 175 hours. That's like over a month, just back to back in total. But I'm not done with you yet. The most special thing to me was I was live streaming this film on the day it came out, January 14th. And there were these kids in the chat, and they were saying stuff like, "Oh my gosh, you inspired me to animate." And then I was like, now hold on, I'm in the same spot that those animators that I looked up to was. But I had a choice here. So I told this person, this young animator, I was like, you know what? I'm really glad. And if you ever need any help, you can come to me. I will help you out. So I'll tell the same thing to all of you guys. If you ever want to get into animation, art, or 3D modeling, just come to me and I'll help you. If you ever get confused by all of the numbers and you try to open up that 3D animation software, just send me an email and I will make it less confusing. So with that, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you all.
Literally in the